long story long still, I suppose. All of this stuff I was doing didn't make me any friends. And at that point in time, there were other people. I was in a very small niche as an older white man.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Korea Unfiltered. The channel has finally reached 1,000 subscribers and I'm super thankful and super excited because that just means more content. Like my goal is to get to 21 episodes because apparently that's when you know you made it. I don't know how true that is, but I think that is sort of true. And today's episode, I have a very special guest because this guest has been in Korea for a very long time. So I think he can give us a really good insight on how Korea has treated him and just how life is in Korea. So introducing my guest, John! But John, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, sure. I am John. My professional name is John D. Michaels. I'm an actor here in Korea, although I've been acting here since 2014, but now I mostly act in the States. So I live here in Korea, and then for work I go shoot movies and stuff in the States.
So can you take us back on how you first came to Korea and when you first came to Korea?
Sure. What's today's date? It's
February 22.
22.
Yeah.
I just missed it. The 19th, February 19th is when I arrived in Korea in 2013.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it just hit 11 years.
Oh, wow.
And I had come over as a videographer.
Okay.
I was to be here for a week of work. Then I was supposed to go to Hong Kong and then back to America. And I had never been, I actually got my passport for the first time ever to come over to do that.
Oh, okay.
I had never been anywhere in the world. I could never afford to go anywhere. But my friends had a company videotaping depositions. And I worked with them sometimes in Los Angeles doing that. And so they were like, oh, there's all this work happening in Asia right now. We might need you to get your passport. So I got my passport. I came over. On my flight over here, my job canceled. So I was in this apartment they put me up in Hanamdong.
Oh, they got you in that nice area.
Yeah, it was cool.
I don't know how it was back then, but
yeah, it was fine. It was great. I became really friendly with this guy who owned a cafe around the corner from me. And then, 10 days later, I was supposed to fly over to Hong Kong to work. And the day before I was supposed to leave, that job canceled as well.
Oh, what?
Yeah, this is really common in that industry because, it's like court dates are constantly getting pushed back, or like people who are getting deposed say they can't do it or they're fighting the deposition or whatever.
Oh, my goodness.
Rescheduling happens constantly. So then they were just going to send me back. And I had never been here before. I'd never been to Asia before. I'd never been anywhere except for Vancouver, Canada, Montreal, Canada, and like Tijuana, I believe, in Mexico.
So like just around the Americas.
And that's when you could go all those places with just a license. I don't know if you can do that anymore. But we're talking many years ago that I was doing all that. So I was like, I don't want to go. And I got like a cancellation fee, like a few $100. And I was like, I'm just going to see what happens here. And I went on to Google Translate and I said, they want to send me back. I don't want to go. Do you know anybody who wants to learn English? And I handed that to the cafe guy. And he said, yeah. And then there was he had some friends and I just started doing like under the table conversational English.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't much. I mean, I was like barely, it wasn't really enough to survive. I then went to Hong Kong for a few weeks and worked there. Came back, moved into a Goshi one.
Oh, no.
Was just kind of kicking around. It was really fun. I was, at that point in time, I had been a photographer and a writer for some magazines. In particular, I wrote a few articles for Vice magazine, which was a big magazine back then.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, I'll maybe I'll try and pitch a story, or I was walking around taking pictures all day every day. Basically, is all I was doing, and keeping notes, thinking I would write some story about my experience, and then 5 months later, I was going to my regular restaurant that I always went to for early morning coffee, like 7 a.m. coffee, which is unusual here.
True.
So
Very.
there was like only one place. At this point, I was living in near Noksapyeong, and I became friends with this waitress, and then we became more than friends. We fell in love kind of instantly, and we've been together ever since. So
Oh, that is so cute.
yeah, it was very much like a meet cute. It was pretty crazy.
Oh, wow. And now this is your wife currently.
Yeah, she's my wife. We were, so we've been together, it'll be 11 years in June. And we got married about a year and a month after we had our first date.
Yeah.
A year and a month later, we got married.
That is amazing. Because I was going to ask you how you met your wife, but I just assumed you met her before you came here or something like that. Because it seems to be like a recurring story with like a lot of people that I've met here. But that is such a cute little story.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I came here a very roundabout way.
Right.
I wasn't like an English teacher or anything like that.
It's different. So did you end up going to Hong Kong, or did you just scrap everything and just say, I'm staying in Korea?
Well, yeah, I worked in Hong Kong several times. I worked in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and here, and doing the deposition stuff. And then, but then, that was just like every once in a while I would get a job. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. My wife had no interest in going to America, and I mean, I didn't really care about living in America. Basically, my whole life I'd been some kind of artist, trying to be some kind of artist.
Yeah.
And I had done acting in America as well. I studied acting. I was mostly a musician. I was in like punk bands and stuff for a long time, put out a bunch of records. But in my 30s, I started working behind the scenes on like commercial shoots and independent movies, stuff like that. Occasionally got in front of the camera. Occasionally I worked as a stage manager in theater. Occasionally I got on stage. And so I was just like looking, trying to figure out what to do. And I saw like a voice acting thing on Craigslist. And I was able to audition for there, gave, some samples, and then I started working from there. And then about 6 months later, I started doing on-camera work, like Kickstarter videos, that kind of stuff.
Would you consider those like acting jobs or like modeling and acting jobs? Like, were you doing just acting, or was it modeling and
I would say those were modeling jobs. There were some, it's like I did some home shopping and stuff like that. But as soon as I got in front of a camera where I was like acting, I think the people weren't used to seeing a Westerner who had acted before. So I kind of quickly got shuttled into like the fast track, and then I had my first recurring. I shot my first recurring, I think, in 2015 on a drama. I did my first drama. It just came out on Netflix. Legends of the Blue Sea.
Oh, with Lee Min-ho, right?
Yes,
Oh,
Lee
I
Min-ho and
watched it. Yeah,
Jun
yeah.
Ji-hyun.
Oh,
That was my
wow.
first speaking role. I did in episode 2 of that one. I have like 2 lines or something like that, and then right after that, I did one called Man to Man.
Man to Man. I've also watched that. I've also watched that because I remember the main actor is very handsome, but I don't know his
Yeah.
name. But I think I watched it a
That's
long time ago.
what was his name?
I do not remember.
He
I'll put
was-
his picture here, guys.
He was huge for a bit there.
Yeah, and then he kind of like disappeared.
right
from-
after that.
Yeah, just disappeared from the scene. And I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah. Park Sang-woong was on that as well. He's like an older actor who's been around for a long time, and he's in a ton of movies and TV shows and stuff. And working with him, I mostly worked with him among the Korean actors, and it was really great working with him. And oh God, it's been so long.
And you've also done so much. I feel like it would be hard to remember every single like.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
it's terrible because I can't remember her name. There was an actress on it.
I'm gonna need you near your mic.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Well, this is the memory lane. It gets quiet.
It's just
All right.
so.
Choi Jang-ah. That's her name.
Tae-jong-ah. Okay.
Uh, She was also on that. We shot that in Budapest. Speaking of Hungary again. So yeah, I went to Hungary for 9 days for that one. And so I was with her, and Park Sung-hoon and David McGuinness was there. And that's where I met him. And we were just like just drinking in the bar some nights, not every night, but I met her, and she was the friendliest actor I had worked with up until that point. She was so nice and easygoing, and yeah. Park Sung-hoon was also super nice, but he had kind of a professional distance, where she was much just kind of
It's chill.
I didn't talk to her a lot or hang out with her very much, but her demeanor was just so much more warm and open.
Like not scared of like talking to you guys or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So previously when you were talking, you said that they were not used to actors. You didn't say this verbatim, but you said they were not used to actors who knew how to act back then. So you fast-tracked into the industry, right? Do you think that was the case because back then foreigners were kind of scarce? So if you were a foreigner in Korea, it was easy to just be like, oh, you're a foreigner. Do you want to be in our drama? Like they didn't really care if you had acting experience. But for you, you actually had acting experience. So it was easier for you to fast track into it.
I think so. I mean, that's my guess. That's what it seemed to be, and that's what people were kind of saying to me.
Right.
I mean, I certainly don't want to disparage anybody else or what they were doing or anything. I think that for a lot of what you have to do here as an actor, if you just are good at mimicry, so like you've seen a K-drama before, so you know how to like pretend you're in a K-drama, that's probably good enough for most of it. But for some other stuff, I don't know. I mean, you can take it as far as you want to in terms of like how deep you want to get into it. And I think if you want to get deeper into the craft of acting, then you can get higher up in the industry for sure.
Of course. Let's go into the question that I ask every guest. So during your acting career or during your life in Korea, what do you think was like some hard things that you had to overcome?
I would say that I'm not sure how much of an actor I am here anymore, to be honest with you, because of the hardships. Basically what it boils down to is like any place you go. If you ever want to follow your dreams anywhere, no matter where it is, there's always a gatekeeper to dreamland. They're always taking a hefty toll. They're always looking to rip people off. I kind of saw the way it worked here in terms of that kind of stuff, and I became very vocal pretty early on about the ways, not only the ways that we were getting ripped off, but also looking into how it was allowed to happen. So I started looking into all this legal stuff, and I ended up I had started this like kind of secret group of actors to like try and discuss some of these issues. And then I was on a commercial job, and one of the managers came up to me and said, "I heard about your secret group."
It's not so secret anymore.
Yeah. So I was like, what can you do here? And but I knew that I was already at that point. Obviously, I was on a job, so I wasn't completely blacklisted, but I was probably not going to be getting calls from several agents at that point. And then I kind of doubled down on it. I went to me and a few other actors. We went to this lawyer. I had this sudden realization. I don't know if you ever watch Korean like broadcast TV, like the news or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whenever they show the news, they always blur everybody's face on the street. And it occurred to me, how is it that they're able to use our faces when we've never signed a contract saying that they could use our faces? Because for the most part, you don't sign a contract here. So
yes.
yeah, but there is a contract somewhere because that's the law.
Yeah, the agency just kind of hide it, I would think, or just don't give it, or
yeah.
Don't
Well,
make
we
it.
do know that people were they were creating fake stamps to sign somebody's name to a contract.
Wow. Okay.
So I went to this lawyer and I said, how is it that they're able to do this? And they were like, well, they're either not having contracts, in which case that's against the law because there's something called the Copyright Act, or they are signing your names, forging your names. And they're like, we think they're probably doing that. So they were trying to come up with some way to deal with that. But then COVID happened, and then that lawyer ended up moving to America, actually.
Oh no. Well, yay for her, but oh no.
Yeah. So then I just took everything I had learned. I'd been talking to Korean Artist Welfare Foundation, to KOCA, which are the organizations which enforce the Copyright Act here. And I found out all this information, and I just put it all up on this page called KFAMA on Facebook, which you can look up, KFAMA. I don't do anything on it anymore, but it's got all this information on it. I don't sure how outdated this information is because I haven't put anything up in a long time, and there were some new laws that were passed somewhat recently. Suffice to say, long story long still, I suppose, all of this stuff I was doing didn't make me any friends. At that point in time, there were other people. I was in a very small niche as an older white man, and other people were around who could fill that role, who had some skill. And so I just didn't get calls anymore. And my career basically kind of ended. But luckily, I got in Squid Game before then. And then...
That's something I actually really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other story as well. But that's what gave me the ability to go to the States and as not a total newbie. Before that time, if you had credits here, they didn't count in America.
Yeah.
But now they count. So
Wow, okay.
I was able to use that to kind of get entry into the U.S. market. And so last year I went there 3 times and I shot 4 movies.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was
because
fun.
I think some people may not understand this, but in Korea, if one agent falls out with you, most agents are going to fall out with you too. So when John is saying that he was blacklisted, somebody might be like, well, just work with another agent. It doesn't work like that here. If one
they all
person,
talk.
they all kind of converse, and that's why people are so scared to, speak up in the industry, because they feel like, oh, you're talking too much. Like, you need to be quiet. Just enjoy what you're getting, when it's like, oh, there's like a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes. So back to the Squid Games thing. I'm surprised to hear that it helped your career, because I remember when I was watching it back then, and the talk behind the scenes, everybody was like, oh, the VIPs were like, what was going on, blase, blase. And obviously I've read articles from the actors after the fact, so I understand what happened behind the scenes and why that scene felt so awkward. But would you please tell us what happened with that scene?
I gave an interview for the UK Guardian. Daniel and I and Jeffrey
I'll
all
link
did.
that article down below, by the way.
And I kind of explained a lot of it there. So, I mean, with that one, it's just a matter of, the thing is you have to understand is this is the same in the States. It's the same everywhere. This idea that you're not going to, if you're playing a smaller role, you're not going to get the whole script. You're not going to know what the whole story is.
Right.
Now, if you just get one little, page of lines and you're doing, a Law and Order show, you get what the show is.
You get the sense of the show.
But if it's a show that's not come out yet and you have no idea what the tone is and you get a script, you try and figure out everything you can from that. So we got this script and it was like really kind of cartoony. And I think the feeling amongst us was that it was like maybe a comedy or something, or. But then I remember I asked the director and he said, no, it's serious. So I said, okay. So it's very difficult here to figure out how to say a line when it's not written by a native. It's if you're doing a script written by a native speaker of your language, the way it's written is the clue to who the character is.
Right.
That character is somebody who talks like that. That's who that character is, right? But with something like when you're doing something here, that is no clue, because it's nobody would speak like that. It's that can be very difficult, and so you try to make whatever changes you can, but you can't change too much, or you still, even if you can put something into a more natural way of saying something, the content of what you're saying also seems a little strange,
wonky,
or you can't change your lines because the actor you're working with needs your specific cues that they've been studying because they're not a native speaker. So it can be a little challenging in that regard. I remember sitting while they were filming somebody else's coverage for a part of the script where the line was like really kind of ridiculous. And I turned to one of the other guys and I said, maybe it's not so bad that we have to wear a mask for this whole thing.
Yeah.
And but the thing is that you can't argue with the fact that it was the #1 show in the world.
It was the #1 show in the world.
So most, people, that's all they care about, that you were in the #1 show in the world. So it doesn't matter if anybody liked or disliked my acting or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's
you
true.
know.
But I've only done one acting script with Joey, actually. And I remember we tried to change certain things, which we did. And we did the script with what we changed as to native English speakers, right? But at the end, we had to run it twice again with how it's exactly written on the script. And I remember when I was reading the article, one of the VIPs from Squid Game, he had said that you guys changed it, but they had to run it again with the original script, and they picked the lines from the original script, which were a little wonky and awkward.
What happened in Squid Game was that I changed a lot of my lines where I never recorded what was written, and I just generally don't. But I always talk with the director beforehand. I talk to people beforehand, and I try to make changes. And that's the thing. It's when you're operating at that level, when you're doing speaking parts, and you have to get very good at memorizing lines. You don't get your approval for your lines sometimes, until they're setting up the camera and for your scene, and then you get the approval, and then you have to memorize 2 pages and perform it in like 10 minutes, right? That happens very often. So one of the actors had come in not expecting to have to say the lines, expecting that but they weren't somebody who was like a regular here. They just had this like feeling, yeah, I do what I want kind of thing. But they weren't having it. Like, I don't know who was shutting him down, if it was the agent, if it was the production or what, but they would not let him change it.
Wow.
And so he was, having to like on the spot, like come up with, he had his whole take on the character of who the character was, and his character in his mind didn't say those things. And so then suddenly he had to be saying those things and figuring out how to say it. And I mean, we're talking, you have a minute to figure it out,
Right.
The camera's already there, like figure it out. And so with that actor in particular, I think there was a lot of, that was probably very difficult for him. It was not an enviable position to be in.
Oh, I bet.
So,
I bet.
yeah, that can be a real bummer.
Yeah.
I would say this, if you want to act here, you need to accept the fact that you're going to look really bad on camera many, many times. It's just the way it is. It's going to happen to every actor anywhere in the world. That's going to happen sometimes. You're going to do something, it's going to be committed to film or video or whatever, and the world's going to see it or people are going to see it, and you were terrible, and you just have to, accept it.
Just accept it. Because
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it, to be honest. Yeah.
It just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Some days you don't have it. Some, that's life. It's just that it gets committed. So you can't be too precious about it. And when people give you crap about it online or whatever, you just have to let it roll off, because either that or give up, because
Oh, okay. So for you, the backlash from being like one of the VIPs in Squid Games, you didn't care, right? You were just like, it happened. It is what it is. I move on.
I totally cared.
Oh, right.
It was as soon I had found an entire, before Squid Game, like a year before Squid Game, I had found an entire Reddit thread dedicated to trashing me. It's like
a year before Squid Game?
Yeah. Like I've been in a lot of K-dramas, so like foreigners who are into K-dramas have seen me a zillion times.
Right.
So people were like really hating on me. I've also gotten lots of love as
Right,
well.
of course,
So,
of course.
but when Squid Game started becoming popular, I just got this sense of dread immediately, where I was like, "Oh my God, this is not going to be good," because I remembered what it was like shooting. You know?
And you remember how uneasy you are because you were probably like, this is interesting.
Yeah. And so what I could tell was that there was going to be a point in time where I did feel okay, and I was going to be on the other side of it, and I was going to feel stronger and better. Knowing that, that's how I dealt with it. I was like, okay, this is going to be rough for a little while, and then it's not going to be, and I'll be a better, stronger person for it. And I don't know, that's a trick I have been using for a long time, actually, to deal with like anxiety and stuff, or dealing with situations where I know that I'm probably doing bad, or it's just like, okay, I'll get to the other side of it and I'll
Yeah.
laugh about it.
Yeah.
Like this is a story later. What's happening now is going to be a funny story in a year or whatever.
Like you're literally going to be laughing about the fact that because
Yeah.
I also terrible anxiety, and I also overthink in the moment, and then later on I'm like, oh, that was not even a big deal.
Yeah.
So I completely understand
You
what
just
you
project yourself forward to when it's not a big deal.
fact. Let's fast forward to when being on Squid Game started helping your career, because it is amazing that you already went to America. You've recorded. Would it be recording? Yeah, you've recorded film. There we go. That's the word I was trying to look for. English is hard. You've already filmed movies. How has that made you feel?
Well, I mean, it's great. It's you still have. So I did a I don't know, like the B plot. I'm the lead of the B plot of this independent movie, and
Yeah.
of like the A plot, I'm like the third or fourth lead or something like that. And that one had like all this like crying and raging and stuff,
okay.
and so knowing that that's out there is a little terrifying to me, because like you never know if the one really big crying scene involved a camera move as well. So it was like I had to walk with a camera, in front of me, walking backwards, get to a spot, stop, deliver some lines, turn to my wife and hug my wife and sob. And because of the camera move, there was all these like complications of like not hitting the mark correctly, the camera not, me not, the wife not, something. And we shot it 12 times.
Oh, that's a lot of times.
And just trying to get all those things to align. And there's a thing we call in acting called pushing. And that's when, you're not feeling sad at all. Nothing is affecting you. And, when you're acting, you want to just be kind of truthful in the moment. And you don't cry too much. We don't, in real life, we don't really show our emotions too much, right? So you don't want to be pushing out this idea of cry, we would call crocodile tears. And, but at some point, you remember what you did before, and you're just kind of just trying to recreate, find something you had, and you can't help but push a little bit, I feel like. I couldn't. And so now it's just in my head, like, what take are they going to use? Are they going to use a take where I'm totally pushing? And then that's this idea of being director proof. And meaning you never want to give them something that they can use that looks terrible, which is nearly impossible to do in Korea.
Right.
And for all the reasons we were kind of saying before. But it's also can be difficult anywhere, because sometimes you're not feeling it, and you have to kind of, the clock is ticking. They're paying, however many thousands of dollars a minute or whatever, and you just have to do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one's like weighing on me. But it was an incredible experience of playing that large of a character, playing a character that has like a full arc over the course of a movie, and that was a first for me. The other ones I did were that one I did in the fall. Went to Missouri. I shot that.
Missouri. Okay.
I did the lead in a a short film called Sigma 001, which is on a sci-fi channel called Dust. I did just a very small supporting role in a Lifetime movie. Are you familiar with Lifetime?
Of course. What American doesn't know Lifetime?
So I
love
did,
Lifetime.
well, I don't know, the kids don't know these days.
Oh, that's true.
So yeah, that was called To Kill a Stepfather. You can look that one up. That was fun.
That sounds fun, to be honest.
I just had one scene with lines.
Yeah.
But I was like one of the red herring like suspects,
Oh, okay.
like the daughter of the woman who was being charged with her husband's murder was the lawyer, and she was investigating me,
okay.
thinking I had done it. And then I did a horror movie called The Iron Door, which I'm not sure when that's going to come out. Both The Iron Door and Under the Surface is the one I did in the fall. They're both trying to do theatrical releases.
Oh, okay.
We'll see if that
Interesting.
happens, but that would be really exciting.
Yeah, yeah. And you would go back for the theatrical release too, or?
I think I probably would. I mean, I guess it would depend on the price of tickets, I guess.
Because they're just going up, 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 to be honest. Do you think you've gotten comfortable in your acting career now?
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, there's always a sense of that you're never going to act again.
Do you mean in Korea or do you mean anywhere?
Anywhere. I mean, it's a gig economy job, you know? I mean, it's like there's no guarantee that you're ever going to get another job. So I really, really love acting. I think I like directing more. Filmmaking in general, I love it.
Yeah.
But I really love acting. So I started an acting workshop here. Right now, it's an acting workshop that I had started with people that I knew already, either from theater here or from the industry. And we started. I do an acting class in LA. I take an acting class in LA, and that I just loved the format of it, and I just copied the format of this. My acting teacher in LA is Rob Brownstein, who is a very fine actor and an amazing teacher. And so I just copied it, but I am not the teacher of that group. There's no teacher. We're all equals.
Oh, nice.
We just bring scenes and we work together and we give each other notes. And there's a bunch of people who have since come in through friends of friends and stuff. So there's all these like younger people who I had never met before. And it's amazing. I love it. It's the highlight of my week every week. But when I get back, I'm going to LA for a couple months. And when I get back from that, I think I'm going to start kind of like a beginner class. Like
For
that
acting?
would be a class.
Yeah.
And I would be teaching.
Yeah.
And it would be a scene study. This one we do now, I call it the scene study workshop. And it would be the same kind of thing. It'd be script analysis, learning how to be vulnerable, learning how to speak in your normal voice without putting on a character, you know, or exploring character, you know, that's also very important too. But I think the first thing to learn, every young actor has to learn, is how to be themselves as a different person.
Right, right.
Because I think too many times people put on a voice or put on a...
That's true. I think because, for me, when I first read a script, I was like, what voice am I supposed to have when I'm speaking this? And then you just slowly learn. You just have to be natural with it.
Yeah.
Not saying that I'm a perfect actor in any way, shape, or form, because I am not. How would you say the acting industry in Korea has gone up or gone down? Or how has it been in the 11 years that you've been here? Like, what are some major things that you've seen?
I think there are so many more talented people here now than there were before, but I think that it's also pretty jam-packed. It's kind of flooded.
Oh, saturated?
Saturated, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
The market is a little saturated. So, I mean, I think the fact that in our workshop, we have people who are mostly working as like extras and stuff, who are amazing actors, who,
Yeah.
but I mean, they would still be having a hard time getting something in America too, just because how saturated the markets are.
Right.
Getting above that standing out in all that noise is very difficult. That's what Squid Game helped me with.
That's true, yeah.
What I always recommend to people, if acting, you have to decide if you just want to be here for a little while and just check it out, and you just want to be on TV and have a cool memory. That's very, I wouldn't say very easy to do, but it's, you can become an extra and be on something.
It's very available.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very available.
But if you have, if you want to be an actor, like, as, your life, like it's a passion or something like that, then I would, you can get stuff for a reel here that's like really high production value. And that's one of the hardest things to get as a young actor, is a very good high production value reel. So it's a really good place to do that. So if you can get a couple lines on something, then and just keep doing that here and there, and you put together like a 1 minute acting reel, that's great. When you were saying about the putting on a voice, and I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say this, I think that's another problem that you have here in Korea a lot as well. Is in America, most of the time, the casting is you're being cast because you are already what they envision the character. They've already, like, the character is you.
Right, right.
They talk like you, they look like you. Here, it's like they want you to be something that's in their mind.
Yes.
So
That is such a perfect way of putting it.
yeah. So,
wow.
well, I think I said in that article, it's like we're not playing Westerners. We're playing a Korean's idea of a Westerner.
Yes.
And so, yeah, they'll ask you to put on a voice,
Or how to act it out.
Yeah.
Or overact it out, basically.
Exactly. Or yeah, they'll give you a line read or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that can be difficult, and that can be difficult in terms of getting your reel together as well, because you don't want a bunch of stuff of you overacting. And
That's true.
but you'd be surprised. Not only can casting see through that kind of stuff, but just how much production value really goes a long way in terms of, like, making people feel you can be trusted to be on a set. So, like I said, with Squid Game, since I was in that thing, that just, people feel comfortable that I know how to handle myself on a set.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what my performance was. They know that I can go there and I can do the job.
Right, right.
So, but yeah, I would say if your passion is acting, you can get a great reel here that can give you a step up whenever you go back to wherever you're from. And it can be a great way to kind of take an end around to your acting career wherever you're from.
If there was one thing you could change about the acting industry specifically, is there anything that you would be like, oh, I wish this could be better in this way?
I mean, I would do something very, very specific. There's something called an artist's certificate. Can't remember the exact term for it. It's given out by the Korean Artist Welfare Foundation. And if you have that thing, you're allowed to, like, file complaints and stuff like that. I have been through KFAMA, and then I had sent something to the Arts Council Korea, and they integrated it into their platform. And then with this other group, DACA, we did some, like, kind of petitioning and stuff to the government to try and get every E6 visa automatically registered with this artist certificate that allows them access to the regulatory bodies that will defend them if people try to rip them off. That is the main thing that I've been trying to do for years. And there was a new law that was going into effect with the new administration, a new artist rights law, and that didn't cover, even though the Copyright Act, which is an international agreement that Korea is a signatory to and thus has their own Copyright Act for Korea, states that they have to defend the copyright and neighboring right, that's your portrait rights and performance rights of every performer and artist in Korea. And where's the enforcement? I don't see it. So
Wait, does it include foreigners in that?
I'm included because I'm an F visa. It includes the copyright itself as written and as, being a part of what's called the Berne Convention, that's when copyrights were formed in like the 1800s or something like that. According to the Berne Convention, any artist, their copyrights are covered. So any nation that signs the Berne Convention will have a version of the Copyright Act, and that Copyright Act will defend and protect all copyrights and what's called neighboring rights, which is your performance and portrait rights.
Yeah.
And then so that should be enforceable in some way, but because there is no access to any way of getting that for E6 visas,
Yeah.
it's basically not covering them.
It's very much not enforced if it was to even be on the E6 visa, because I have the E6 and you said you have the F.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's helping you right now? Is it enforced for you? Or
No, it's not enforced for me. I mean, the thing is that as long as I can, you don't have to think of me as like some kind of martyr or something. like if it was covering E6 visas, then it would also cover me automatically. Like the reason that somebody can just swoop in when I'm blacklisted is because those people aren't being defended. So if those people were being defended, then they would stand up for themselves, and then they wouldn't be able to blacklist me.
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
it serves everybody.
Do you still think you are blacklisted in the industry in Korea?
I don't know. It's so hard for me to say. It's so hard for me to say if I am or I am not. All I know is the phone stopped ringing, and then there were, I would see like people posting things and be like, "Oh, I was never asked to audition for that,"
Yeah.
and so I don't know. I can't say yeah. It feels like it. I do know from hearing from agents, like I said, about when I had that meeting, and like an agent was like, I heard about it. I have heard from other agents similar things. I've also heard of people taking screenshots of like chats and sharing them with like other private groups I was in, and the fact that people are selling each other out like that is really a bummer.
Yes.
You're really
That is
not going to
true.
get anything out of it either. That's the thing. It's
You're
a
not.
bummer.
Yeah. And there's like so many groups that are made to help. I'm going to say models because that's what I am, I guess.
And that's all I do these days.
You do
actually.
modeling.
Yeah, well, I'm a lifestyle model.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's basically the only work I get here anymore.
Right.
Is modeling.
Oh, wow.
I don't really do much acting here anymore.
Which is crazy because that's what you're really, really good at.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. But for me as a model, there are these groups that help models or that are quote unquote supposed to help models, but I don't join them because I fear what I say could get screenshotted. And I feel like not everybody's on your team in this industry. Like you
Yeah.
might think, oh, this person is great, blase, blase, but they're talking to an agent about whatever you say about them. So that's personally why I don't put myself in any groups, because some people just don't want to see you do well.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little scary. The industry is a little messy and a little scary, but I just thank you for fighting though,
Yeah. I mean,
because that
sure.
is terrifying.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like once it became clear that the damage was done, then it didn't really, I didn't really have anything to save anymore,
Oh my God.
So the way I feel about it is personally, I believe in community and people all helping each other, not jealously guarding opportunity, but opening it up to everybody,
Yeah.
and then, the person who's the right person for that job gets that job.
Right.
And, and you get something else, whatever. But so that's what kind of the purpose of the workshop is as well. For me, it was to continue with the kind of acting class I had in in LA because I wanted it for keeping my skill level up, but also just having a sense of community and having people who were looking out for each other and open to being vulnerable with each other, which is so important when you're acting.
Yeah,
And
I bet. Yeah.
I don't, I don't know. It's strange because I don't really begrudge people, like the people who, because I was pushed aside, other people got work. Now, would they have gotten that work anyway? Maybe they would have. And I can't really begrudge them the fact that, they took an opening, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's just trying to make their way.
That's true.
So the only thing I don't like is when people like something like taking a screenshot of something where you're actually openly sabotaging somebody. That's a bummer.
Because that's stabbing someone in the back. And you
Yeah.
have Do you have any regrets about coming to Korea?
Certainly not about coming to Korea.
Or anything?
Well, I mean, I think that I was very, I don't know if it comes off like this or not, but I can get very strident about this stuff when it comes to like, contracts, or they're taking, 90% of the pay and all that stuff.
Yeah. I know what you mean, yeah.
And, but I have seen other people deal with that in a way that was much more diplomatic. Now, it served them very well.
Oh, okay.
It didn't serve the community very well. And the thing is that after trying for so many years and not really seeing anything come of it, maybe I shouldn't have tried. Maybe I didn't need, maybe I could have just been diplomatic and then kept making money.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would like a second pass at trying to deal with that stuff in a way that was. There were times when I could kind of see myself from outside of myself, ranting to an agent about how they were ripping me off or how the industry was, especially to like a manager, like not the agent themselves, but like the person
manager.
translating
Like,
them for them
yeah,
and stuff.
right down, yeah.
And just like going off, like just angry. And who wants some angry old white guy sitting next to him in a car for 4 hours on your way to set? You know what I mean? So
your anger was justified, though, I would say.
yeah, but
Yeah.
they're still a human being, and subjecting them to that is maybe not the best
and
thing.
they're the manager, not the agent, so I guess I understand. But
So yeah, I wish I could have been more diplomatic about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the chips are falling where they may. I'm just going to keep trying to go forward. I just try and learn and try and make myself a better person
Yeah.
as I get older.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be very open to what the universe has to teach me and how I can better myself, I guess.
and that's honestly like a great attitude, I would say.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's either that or you just stagnate, right?
That's true. And it's better to just positive attitude, even when it's negative.
Yeah.
Better to have a positive attitude. Do you have any last words for the people? who may
Am I
be watching?
dying? What's going on? Is there a gun right there? There's a sniper right over there.
That didn't sound rude.
Wait, did the agent send you? What's going on?
The agent has been listening this whole time. That sounded really bad. But any last advice to people who may be
Oh, boy.
listening?
Let me see. I've given a lot of interviews, not a lot, but I've given several interviews. And I think one of the things I always say is, I said it already earlier, there's always a gatekeeper. And so figuring out how to handle those gatekeepers is one of the hardest things about this industry. If you want to have any longevity, which I'm a testament to, like
Yeah.
what happened to me.
Yeah.
I would say like you have to try and have very open, clear eyes about what you're getting into and what's going on around you. Try to have a kind of professional kind of distance from people in the industry that have anything to do with money.
Yep.
it's okay, you know, they want to give you a hug. It's okay to give them a hug. It's all right. It's okay to be friendly with them and stuff like that. But you have to, like, the people who are sending screenshots to agents are not realizing the fact that, like, they're a useful idiot that's going to be thrown away as soon as the next useful idiot comes.
Yep.
So you want to just have some self-respect, have your wits about you, have a professional distance. It's okay to be a professional. You don't have to have everybody love you all the time. You can just be a professional, and I think that will kind of save you a lot. But it's you should also try to be as fun as you can on set.
And have a good time.
You want to be somebody that people want to hang out with.
That's true.
You don't want to be the angry old white guy. I'm telling you, because that really bumps people out.
Yeah, I totally. It was really interesting hearing your story because I feel like, yeah, people can read articles about what you've said, but hearing you speak about your story is so different and it's so personable, I would say. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely loved hearing about your story. And I'm so happy that you're like, you know, going to America and doing all these big things. And hopefully you continue doing these big things because everybody
so.
that I've met
Thank
is
you.
always like, yeah, John is a great actor. John
Oh.
is amazing. And I'm just like,
Oh.
who is this John? Like,
Yeah.
I want to meet John. So thank you so much for coming. But that was it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much, John, for coming.
Thank you.
I will leave all your articles down below so you guys can read the articles that he has been a part of and just understand a little bit more if you feel like you still have some questions about how his experience in Korea as an actor has been. But anyways, guys, that was it for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And if you are an audio listener, thank you guys so much for listening.
Check out my YouTube too.
Oh, you have a YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shout it out.
I mean, I think you just search my name, John D. Michaels, and
No.
you
Oh.
get to my YouTube.
I'll link it down below.
There you go.
Even easier. But
Yeah.
anyways, guys, that was it for today's episode. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.